Hey, today I'm talking about 3 movies featuring 3 actors that I've seen a bunch this year that I wanted to watch one more time before the year ends. And the names of those 3 movies are Castle in the Ground, Eva, and Fun with Dick and Jane, the one from 1977. First up is Castle in the Ground. This movie actually came out last year. For some reason I had it in my head it came out in 2014. I don't know why. This one stars Alex Wolff and then the much loved Imogen Poots. It's my 9th one of her. And the basic premise is Alex is going through some hard times because his mom is dying, and then he decides to get into really hard drugs. And luckily for him, his neighbor across the hallway is Imogen, who really likes drugs. The movie was okay. It felt very made-for-TV movie, like after-school special-y type of thing. It wasn't like a bad premise, it's just they didn't really do a whole lot with it and didn't seem that different from other drug stories. Imogen was definitely the big standout here. She nailed the part, she was incredibly believable, and just her entire performance made this movie in the liked category. If it wouldn't have been for her, this easily would have been a meh, if not a didn't liked. But because she is so incredibly talented, it's hard to not like any movie that she's in. There's only actually been one movie so far that's in the didn't liked category, and to be fair, she is barely in that movie. So yeah. The big issue with this movie is just it goes nowhere slowly. I think the point of it is they wanted you to kind of just sit with a lot of his pain, but like I didn't really feel his pain, so sitting in it made it just feel like we're sitting doing nothing. I don't know, it didn't really work that well. I don't recommend this movie unless you're like me and you really love Imogen Poots or you like Alex Wolff. I definitely don't regret watching this movie, but I'm definitely not gonna watch it again. Next up is Eve, or Eva. It's unclear because it's spelled Eva, but a Welsh guy in the movie kept pronouncing her name Eve, so I don't know. This is a 1963 Italian movie. It's all in English though, starring Jeanne Moreau, my 7th one of her. And much like the last movie, it's very okay. The basic premise is it's about this guy who randomly stumbles across this beautiful woman and then gets creepy stalkerish obsessed with her. And she kind of likes it and messes with him a bit, but that also leads to bad things happening. I liked the basic premise a lot. I think it's a really interesting premise, but the execution of this movie left me very lost. I really wasn't sure what was happening for a lot of this movie. I'm not sure if they were just being experimental or something, or if it was just like me just not getting stuff. I really don't know if it's the movie's fault or my fault that I don't understand this movie. In a similar complaint to the last movie, it kind of went fast at certain times that felt weird, and then really slow at other times that felt strange, but I did actually like the slow times because then it helped me figure out what was going on. And much like the first movie, Jeanne was definitely the big standout here. She gave a great performance. She was so beautiful in this. She had a very, very interesting character. I think she portrayed very well. Good performances all around though. I don't know. I again don't really recommend it. It wasn't bad, but again, there could be something that I'm missing. It almost felt like it was required that you read the book before watching the movie to fully understand it. But again, I feel like this one could just be a me thing, and it's not actually the movie's fault that I didn't care for it, but no way to know. And lastly is Fun with Dick and Jane from 1977. I talked about Fun with Dick and Jane from 2004 last year. I liked that movie. This is the original that one was based on, and this one stars Jane Fonda, my 9th one of her. And much like the last 2 movies, she was a big standout from this that definitely made it watchable. Though more so with this, her character was kind of blah, but she was really hot in this. A lot of her scenes were just kind of like, hey, do you guys want to see my abs right now? Because I want to show you guys my abs. And I'm like, yeah, I will look at your abs, Jane Fonda. Thank you for showing them. I appreciate this. The basic premise, though, is the exact same as the remake, and that is that this well-off couple, the husband suddenly loses his job and he struggles to find a new one, and they eventually turn to a life of crime in order to pay for their lifestyle. It's such a weird movie because, like, they linger so much on things that don't matter. Like, that opening scene just goes on forever. And I guess it's maybe supposed to be funny, and then at other times it just goes way too fast. It feels like it's just payoff, payoff, payoff with zero setup and zero buildup. So it's just like the conclusions of things, but it doesn't mean anything because we didn't see anything prior to this. It's so weird because the remake actually did a lot of those really, really well. This is definitely a comedy, and I definitely did not find it funny, except for the sequence where they start robbing people, where it's like several robberies in a row. That section was hilarious and definitely elevated this movie a good solid amount. It wasn't enough to save this movie, like Jane Fonda's abs, but it definitely helped. Unless you really want to see Jane Fonda's abs, I don't recommend this movie. It's so meh. I do recommend the Jim Carrey one. That one was actually pretty fun, and I appreciate it more after watching this movie, because, yeah. Ugh. So, yeah. Alrighty, now for today's rankings. First up, we got Castle on the Ground, sitting at number 190 in the liked category. And then really not too far behind is Eve, sitting at number 197, also in the liked category. And then bringing up the rear is Fun with Dick and Jane, again not too far behind, sitting at number 211 in the meh category. And that is out of a total of 265 old movies so far this year, and that brings the grand total out of all the movies I've seen so far this year up to 342.